to my channel. It's Nikki of Nikki's Homemade Crafts, and today we're going to do part 1 of the Ornament Mystery Crochet Along. For part 1, you're also going to get the written instructions. You're going to find it down below in the description, as well as the first comment that is pinned. You're going to click the first link right there, and it's going to take you over to our website, nikkishomemadeCrafts.com. Once you're going to see the Mystery Crochet Along announcement or the article of this pattern, you're going to scroll down either all the way down to the written instructions, or you're going to expand the table of content and click the button for the written instructions right there. Once you're there, you have the written instructions right there, but it has ads. It is free to view though. If you want a printer-friendly version of this pattern, come join the Crochet Club, which is our membership with over 400 ad-free patterns, weekly live tutorials teaching you exactly what you want to be taught, and we also meet twice a month on Zoom for a really fun crochet chat. There's more perks that come with the membership, like special coupon codes, etc., etc. See the link down below if you want to join the Crochet Club and have this pattern and all the other patterns also ad-free and printer-friendly. You can join as a monthly, quarterly, or annual member, and there's even an option for a trial if you prefer joining it as a try member. Now let's talk about the materials and everything you're going to need for this Mystery Crochet Along. You're going to need some worsted cotton yarn, which are these two right here. I'm using cotton sprout yarn from Premier, which is both worsted in red and white, and we're also going to use a 3.5mm hook. You're going to need a little teeny tiny bit of an accent color. It's really not a lot, so don't worry if you don't have this yarn at home. This happens to be a DK yarn, but you can totally use worsted yarn for this as well. This is your accent color, so if you're picking different colors for white and red, I picked white and red for Christmas. You can totally pick other colors, whatever you feel like is best for your Christmas tree. Whatever colors you're picking here, pick an accent color that matches those two colors. For me, I believe that yellow works really well for the gold effect for Christmas. You're only going to need this color today for part 1. You will not need it for part 2 and 3. You will need these two for part 2 and 3. Remember, we're going to make one ornament per day per video. So this is the first ornament we're making today. Besides the yarn, you will also need one of these baubles. It's 3.15 inches in diameter. They likely use some kind of metric system. I believe it's like 80 millimeters in diameter in the metric system. If you don't have one of these plastic baubles, you're going to need at least 2 of them for this Mystery Crochet Along. You can also use polyfill in order to substitute for it. Keep in mind that the pattern is written for these plastic baubles. So if you're using polyfill, you're just going to have to continue decreasing at the very end when I tell you to do so. So let's get started. I'm going to start with red, and we're going to need a little bit of white later. So let's start with red first. Start with a magic ring. You can also use an alternative magic ring if you like, but I prefer the magic ring. Now you're going to make a chain of 1. That is simply to hold the magic ring in place, but it does not count as a stitch. Make sure you have your ring finger in your magic ring because it can help provide this tension that you're going to need in order to add your stitches to your ring. Now add 6 single crochets to the ring. Now close your ring. Now you're going to make a slip stitch. I recommend going with the invisible slip stitch, but you can totally use a regular one too. The regular one will be a little bit more obvious. I'll show you the invisible one. For the invisible one, you're simply going to pull out your loop here a little bit. You're going to go from the back to the front, and the first stitch is always the hardest, so it's okay. You're going to go in there, and once you're through from the back to the front, you're going to add your loop back to your hook, and you're going to pull it back. That is your invisible slip stitch. It's more of a relocation of your loop, but it works great. Now you're going to go into each stitch for this round, and you're going to crochet 2 single crochets per stitch. Remember, the very first stitch is always a little tight for the magic ring because we pulled our yarn to close the hole. So it makes it a little bit tighter for the very first stitch. Then keep going and crochet 2 single crochets per stitch all the way around and finish it up with a slip stitch, the invisible way or the regular way. Then you're going to go into the next round. By the way, I'm not using a chain of 1 at the beginning of the round because it creates extra bulk and it's not necessary. And sometimes we even mix it up and by accident use it as a stitch when it really isn't. Okay, so let's go to the next round. In the next round, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Now you're going to repeat that. 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets. Do this all the way until the end of the round and then slip stitch at the end. You should have 18 stitches at this point. In the next round, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then also in the next stitch. So that means 2 single crochets in a row and then 2 single crochets in the following stitch. Now you're going to repeat that. So 1 single crochet in 2 stitches and then 2 single crochets in the following stitch. Repeat it all the way until the end, finish with a slip stitch, and then you have 24 stitches at this point. In the next round, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet in 3 stitches, so 1 per stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Now you're going to repeat that. 1 single crochet in 3 stitches and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. There's actually a little trick right here where you can look for your increases and you're going to increase right on top of the increase. Now I understand with red, it's a little bit hard to see on camera. I'm trying to make sure you can see it as much as possible. And of course, I'm talking over the video to make sure you actually understand what I'm doing. But anyways, you're going to crochet all the way around. And by the end of this round, you should have 30 stitches. Once you're done, you're going to go into the next round after doing your slip stitch, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in 4 stitches, so 1 per stitch. And now you're going to see there's an increase in the previous round. We're going to add an increase right on top for this round. Now you're going to repeat again 1 single crochet in 4 stitches and then an increase. Do this all the way around, and by the end of this round you should have 36 stitches. All right, we have one more round of increases. So 1 single crochet in 5 stitches and then an increase after that. Now you're going to repeat this all the way around. So 1 single crochet in 5 stitches and then an increase. So 2 single crochet stitches. At the end of this round, as always, you're going to make a slip stitch, either the invisible one or the regular one, and then you're going to have 42 stitches by the end of this round. Once you're done by this round, it's ideal to check to make sure that you have the right gauge. For me, the diameter going from one increase to another increase is just a little over 3 inches. So it's like almost 3.2, maybe roughly in that range. Okay. Now, if you're measuring from a flat area right here, remember this is not a perfect circle, it's more of a hexagon. So this can help us actually see the proper measurements. So here from one flat area to another flat area, it's exactly 3 inches. Now, remember, you are going to use one of these ornaments, hopefully, and you got it. And this is like 3.15 inches or so. This will stretch just a tiny bit. So it's totally fine. If you're about that range, you're good to go. If you're way off or like by an inch or so or half an inch, you may want to adjust, especially if you're smaller, if your tension is even tighter than what I have used here. This is already tight tension for me. You may want to adjust a little bit. You may need an additional round of increases or so. If it's way looser, like you're much bigger than 3 inches, you may want to reduce a little bit. bit, like maybe reduce one round of increases. So, but if you feel like, you know what, I'm going to stick with the pattern exactly, even if it doesn't fit the ornament, then you can just stuff it with polyfill in the end. That's totally fine as well. But anyways, we're going to use one of these, or at least I am going to use one of these. So we're going to need it a little bit later on once we have our rounds done and we're starting to decrease. That's when we're going to need to insert this bauble. If you're using polyfill, you're going to insert the polyfill almost towards the end. All right, you're now going to crochet just single crochet rounds at this stage, but you are going to do it in 2 different colors. Okay, so you're going to do 3 rounds of red. At least that's the color I'm picking, so I'm going to say it with those colors. 3 rounds of red, then 6 rounds of white, and then another 3 rounds of red. Okay, so that's 12 rounds in total. Let me say it again. 3 rounds in red, 6 rounds in white, and 3 rounds in red. That's when I'm going to see you back here. Then I'm going to show you how that looks like. Okay, so it is just 1 stitch per stitch all the way around. Okay, and with slip stitches at the end of each round. Once you're done with your 8 rounds, it's going to look like this. You're going to pull out your loop a little bit more. So that way it's just going to hang there right now because we're now going to add the accent. Okay, so grab your yellow, whatever color you have, add a good chunk of yarn here to it. I have here probably, I'm not quite sure how much it is, but maybe 3 to 4 feet, just so that I have enough. And we're going to add it to a needle so it's ready to go. And we're now going to add our accent. Now you could do it later, but I feel like it's much easier to do it now than later. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle and you're going to come out right here on the very first stitch of the very first round of white. So you can see here's kind of that slip stitch right there, and you're going to come out here on the very first stitch. Now you're going to let your yarn kind of hang there. You need a little bit of yarn end here in the back just so you can tie it up later. And now you're going to go up six rounds, and then you're going to go over 2 stitches. Okay, so like about here. So it's going to be 6 up and 2 over. You're going to go right into that stitch. Okay, and then you're going to count from here 6 over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to come out right after. So there's exactly 6 stitches in between. So you can see that right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so you have your very first line done. Now I highly recommend holding it kind of sideways because it makes it easier. You're now going to go back in here, okay, right where you kind of came from. And you're now going to count again 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after the 6th one, you're going to come out. Okay, make sure you don't create any knots or anything. And it's going to look like this. Now you're going to go back in where you came from up here. So it's every time from the top to the bottom. So once you did the bottom, you're now going to the top. And you're going to count again 6 stitches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After the 6th one, you're coming out. So you're going to do this all the way around. So you have that zigzag. Okay, so go back to the bottom, count 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come out after the 6th one. And make your lines. Now keep going and go all the way around until the zigzag is done. All right, once it's done, it's going to look like this. At the end, you're going to see the inside part. It's going to look like lines. Just make a knot here somewhere and just leave it in there. Once you put your ornament in, you're not going to see it. You can totally weave in your ends, but it's not going to be visible. Just make sure you have a good knot. Okay, I do want to point one thing out. If you adjust it down here, the increase or decreases, the amount of stitches in between here is going to be 1 minus the number of stitches you had in the last increase. So let me explain. So on the very last increase right here, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches and then an increase. That means there were 7 per repeat. Okay, this number in between here is one less than the number of stitches you had in that last increasing round per repeat. So I had 7 over here, so that means I have 6 in between here. Okay, so that's how you're going to adjust your number accordingly. So now we're going to go into decreasing rounds. Okay, you can check that your ornament actually fits. So it should fit just like this, and it will possibly hang over just a tiny bit, but that's okay because we're about to now do the decreases, and it's going to look very nice and snug. So for the very first round, you can probably leave the ornament out still. So you're now going to do decreasing rounds. So the very first stitch is going to be 1 single crochet, and you're going to do this again 4 more times. So that means 1 single crochet in 5 stitches, and then a decrease. Let me show you the decrease. So I like to do the invisible way. So here's how you're going to do that. You're going to go through the front loops of 2 stitches. So you're going to go like this and like this. Okay, so you're going through 2 front loops of 2 stitches. Okay, now you're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 front loops. So you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. That's your decrease. Okay, now you're going to repeat that. So 1 single crochet in 5 stitches, and then a decrease. Now keep in mind, if you adjust it down here, your numbers, meaning your rounds, you may have additional rounds or less rounds of the increasing rounds, you need to adjust it here accordingly. So this is pretty much the opposite of what we did down here. So remember, the last round that we did down here was 1 single crochet in 5 stitches and then an increase. So here we did 1 single crochet in 5 stitches and a decrease. So it's the opposite of what we did down here. Okay, so finish this round and make sure that you're going to do your slip stitch at the end, and then we're going to go into the next round. All right, and by the end of the round, I highly recommend starting to use your ornament. So put it inside. You may have issues going in your stitches, but try your best. I'll show you a few different tricks that I have. For now, it should be still easy. There is still some room here, but I think the following round will be a little bit tighter. So let's keep going. So in this round, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet in 4 stitches. So keep your tension nice and tight, so that way the transition from flat to more rounded, meaning the decrease, is going to be cleaner. So 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and then a decrease. So again, through the front loops. So that's the invisible single crochet decrease. And now repeat now. 1 single crochet in 4 stitches, and then a decrease. Finish up the round with a slip stitch. All right, in the next round, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet in 3 stitches, and then a decrease. Now, I do want to point out that sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to keep your tension even when you have something inside here. So what I do is I wrap my yarn around my finger a few extra times because it allows me to have a little extra tension. So I want to make sure it gets nice and tight. So if you can't hold your project properly, you can also like glide your stitch into it. That can help as well, like literally glide it onto like the ornament and try to grab your stitches. Anyways, you're going to repeat this all the way around. So 1 single crochet in 3 stitches and a decrease, and finish it up with a slip stitch. All right, then you're going to go into the next round. No worries, we have only a couple more rounds to go. So in the next round, you're going to crochet 1 single crochet in 2 stitches and then a decrease. So I know it's going to get a little harder and challenging to decrease these rounds, but I promise you it's worth it. You can kind of let your bauble like towards your chest. I can kind of hold it sometimes if that's a little easier to hold it in place, because it kind of, you know, is a little bit chunky there and it can be a little bit challenging, but no worries. I know you can do this. So you can see here, sometimes I have a hard time grabbing my crochet project. So if I don't, if I'm not able to grab it, so you can also just hold it a little bit further away and then kind of grab into it and pull through. So that can help too if you can't really catch it. So you can see here how I'm not even holding my project. I'm just holding it further away. So that can help too. You just have to, you know, make sure that you go into the right stitch and keep your tension nice and tight, so that way it's not going to be too loose inside here. Like the bobble is not going to like glide around all the time. So let's finish this round, and then we have one more round of decreases. All right, once you're at this stage, you're going to see that there's not a lot of room left. There might be a little bit of a gap, but not much. So the very last round may not be a full round for you. It depends on your tension, okay? So if you are only having a little bit of room, you may just do half a round of decreases in the next round, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do it, but I want to point out really quickly, if you're not using a bobble at this stage, you probably want to add some polyfill inside if you didn't use a plastic bobble. And you also going to have to continue decreasing all the way until the end, so pretty much the opposite of what we did down here, right? And finish up your ball and then add a little string to it at the end, so it does look like a bobble. So let me show you the very last round, which you may not complete all the way through. So I will likely not do it because I only have a little bit of space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one single crochet, okay, and then the first stitch, and then I'm going to do a decrease. So just like I've done before, and you can see how far away my finger here is. I let the bobble guide me here and see how many stitches I have to do until I pretty much closes up the gap 100%, or the way I believe is closed. So you may not go all the way through. So you can see here it's getting tighter. I think I'm just going to do here one more decrease. So here's one stitch right here, and then one more decrease just to close it all the way up. And you can see that does not go all the way till the end of this round, so it was only just a little bit. So now the gap is fully closed for me, and I'm going to stop at this stage. So now you just have to weave in your ends. So let me do that and I'll show you the final result. So this is how it looks like once you are done. You have your bobble completed, and we made more of like a classic Christmas bobble, and I'm so excited to see all of your different colors and how you finish this specific bobble. And remember, we're going to have 2 more bobbles to go, right? We have one tomorrow and the day after, so there's 2 more mystery ornaments going to be made. And some of you guys might be asking now, why in the world did you ask us to do cotton yarn? Well, there's a little surprise happening, part 3. So you don't quite know yet why we actually had to use cotton yarn. I'll tell you this. You could have done this bobble and even the next bobble in acrylic yarn or any other fiber, but part 3 has to be cotton yarn. And I didn't want to ask you to do multiple different skeins just to get ready for this mystery crochet along. So I decided I'm just going to do all cotton, and part 3 is the one where you actually will know in the end why we picked cotton yarn. Okay, so trust the process. I know you're going to like it. I'm pretty sure you're going to like it. And for now, I want to see your pictures of your Christmas ornament, whether you finished it with a plastic bobble inside or polyfill. I want to see them. Take a picture, post it into the Facebook group with the corresponding hashtag. I'll add the hashtag here on the screen so you know exactly which one to use. So that way we can find you in our Facebook group, Crocheting with Nikki, and celebrate you. And of course, invite and inspire other crocheters to also make their cute little mystery ornaments. So you just finished part 1 of the Ornament Mystery Crochet Along. 2 more to go, and then we have a big Ornament Mystery Crochet Along party with prizes. So if you post your pictures every single day, especially the final day with all 3 ornaments, you're going to qualify for the giveaway. So are you going to do that? I sure hope you will. I'm going to see you guys in the next part, right? In the meantime, like, comment, and share this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on the bell so you get a notification next time I go live or publish a new video. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.